like to call to order the regular village board meeting for the village of Shorewood on June the 11th in the year 2019. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Chapman?
Here.
Dan Anderson?
Here.
Steve Brockman?
Here.
Cece DeBold?
Here.
Barb Kirkland?
Here.
Tony Luciano?
Here.
And Dan Warren.
Here. Let the record show there's a quorum. The regular village business can be accomplished tonight. Going to move on to citizens. As we've got a special, Chief, would you like to take that?
So we've got the cops organization going to make a presentation of the benevolent fund.
Join us. Board, I'd like to introduce Julie Michelle, Linda Richardson, Alex Rubio, and Ann. In the past year, between selling a 50/50 police flags and our dance that we had last March, we're able to do a check of $5,000 for the benevolent fund, the Shorewood Police Department.
Nice.
Congratulations, and that's appreciated. That's a lot of hard work coming up with that.
They work hard.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
So as you know, COPS has been with us for 25 years, 27 years? Ann?
It's going on 27.
27 years, and as you know, they've donated money for all sorts of things for us. They bought the very first canine we had. They've bought traffic trailers and protective equipment, gym equipment, all kinds of stuff for us over the years. So we really appreciate their support. So,
Yeah.
all right. The second thing we have tonight is the police department has an awards committee, and most of that is for internal awards to officers to recognize their stuff, but we also have a component whereby we can recognize citizens who are worthy of commendation for acts that they do or contributions to the police department. And to that end, we have a citizen tonight who we'd like to bestow a certificate of recognition to for an incident that happened at Mariano's where he intervened with a purse snatching. So Nick Sergeant Forrester is the head of our awards committee for the department, and he authored this, and I signed it, and I'm going to have him read the commendation. Mr. Howard is here.
This is Brandon Howard. He was our man of the hour for right now. On April 1st, there was a purse snatching that went on inside Mariano's. He got to it before our guys did, and got into it with the fella, and they recovered the property. Nobody ended up getting seriously hurt, and Deputy Chief Allen, after reviewing it, he was the nominator that said that we should probably look into this more, and so he did something above and beyond. So I'll read the text of what we have for him today. It is with admiration and sincere gratitude, the Chief of the Shorewood Police and the members of the Shorewood Police Department commend you for your actions on the first day of April 2019. You witnessed a citizen in distress and the victim of a crime by another. Without regard for your personal safety, you came to the citizen's aid and thwarted a robbery attempt. You saved another person from potential harm and loss, and this deserves our recognition and that of the village of Shorewood. Your actions exemplify the values of community, humanity, and courage. They are some of the founding principles that define the idea of what it means to be a member of our community and a citizen of our nation. Your decision in time of trial for another to rise to the occasion and the uncommon courage which came with it show a deep character and sense of compassion. This certificate is a small token of that sentiment given to you on behalf of the Shorewood Police Department.
Brandon, before you go away, I'd like to shake that hand, okay? Hey, nice job. And
Thank you.
if there were more like you out there, this would be a better world, buddy. Okay?
So we had one other citizen that was there that night as well. If he can come at a later date, we will also do the same for him. So you may see more of these in the future, depending on incidents that arise. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Pretty cool, huh?
There's just too many people that want to turn their back nowadays and not get involved because it puts them out. There's always a hazard. That young man there, it's amazing what he did. You got to remember, the officer that came in was armed. And you never know what that other person's carrying too. And this young man went after him on his own. Gives me hope. Okay, are there any other citizens that wish to address the village board tonight? Mr. Musson.
After all that, I kind of feel like the Grim Reaper.
Be the Grim Reaper.
Okay. I normally speak from notes, but in an attempt to make sure I remember everything that I wanted to say tonight, I'm gonna read a statement, and I would welcome any board comments or questions or guidance on this at the end of my statement. So here we go, with all due respect to the board. As we are well into the third year of this problem, I'm back for the first time since last October to report on more inaction to resolve this problem at 205 and 301 Earl Road. The fence at 301 has only stopped lights, not noise. In fact, part of the fence has been removed. My neighbors and I are continuing to get nighttime disturbances from both locations, and we are on police non-emergency number often. At 205, there's been no action on code violations, including dumpster requirements and use of a code-restricted loading dock. This may be my last visit to attempt resolution for this for two reasons. I don't believe that the board has any intention to resolve this. And I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall, expecting that this board, which is protected from legal actions by state statutes in spite of code non-enforcements, will thoroughly resolve this problem. Good lawyers, those are who are not just out to take clients' money, are very reluctant to fight City Hall. And your residential village constituents end up paying the bill. In 10 years as a resident, my property value is actually less, and my property taxes have doubled. Now, I know that some of this is outside of the village control, but some isn't. You might think that the following examples are off topic, but I believe them to be systemic to why problems like my neighborhood faces happen, and at a significant cost to your constituents. First, on-duty village employee shopping. Next, much more important, non-collection of home rule tax on all businesses in the village, and this is in the village code, came as a part of home rule. Next, no reassessment, sometimes for many multiple years, of village business property values, while residences are reassessed annually by the township. When yearly tax rates go down, businesses are paying less real estate taxes than those same year tax bills for your residential constituents. They go up when the residential constituents go up due to reassessment. This is not fair or equitable. How much is this costing your constituents? And finally, maintaining a practice almost without exception of issuing conditional business licenses before all required conditions are met. This results in post-costs and/or negative effects on residents that businesses should be held responsible for. This is a practice that this board uses regularly and should be discontinued to stop those costs and problems from being picked up by your constituents. With more to come, I don't share the bright outlook for the village that some people tout. We don't have to go to the state or federal level to see questionable money management and higher costs to citizens. Now, this is rooted in voter and citizenry apathy, and I'm sure not much, if anything, will change if that doesn't. When more than 10 or maybe 15% max eligible voters come out to help determine local issues, I might change my mind on that. In the meantime, I will put up with my nightly 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 wake-up calls with all the noise and diesel fumes, and I will work through your constituents to educate ourselves and get involved to help make this village a truly great place to live. Thanks for your time. Any comments? Thank you.
Well, Dave, I've tried to call you a few times here over the past month and a half, and haven't been able to get through. So if you would please leave your number here, because I must have the wrong one. Fact is, I got two. Got your old work number and your number, and I can't get through. It doesn't seem to. One rings, but it doesn't pick up. The only comment I have, there are some moves that were made. I know they're not enough because, in my opinion, okay, years ago, we made the big mistake. We put that damn industrial park in the middle of a place where we were going to bring houses later on. Okay? Can't go back to the original sin and undo it. We can make sure we don't do it again. Okay? But we can't go back and undo that because you'd be uprooting, millions of dollars of assets and things like that, so that wouldn't work. But we did do something, and I'm going to turn this to the administrator to let you know what we did do. It's not enough, and it won't be. And I've got some time, and we can continue to work on it. Okay.
My negative feedback on the inactions is that I'm continuing or had continued right up until last fall to be told this is what we're going to do. And basically, since the fence went up, which was really the only thing, I have to file complaints with your department downstairs, zoning department for, these people don't even cut their grass at all until somebody files a complaint. They don't pay their taxes until they're threatened with it going to tax collection or forfeiture. And I keep getting told we are doing some things. One of the things I was told that would be done is we're going to get all the business owners together over there and we're going to talk to them. Well, I never heard any feedback on that at all. Beside the point, I don't have to get the feedback. I'm just looking for the problem to be resolved. But one of the things I have done is I have contacted the owner of the 205 building. And to my surprise, he has no idea what's going on over there, has never been contacted by anyone. And was more than willing to tell me that if I had known, I would have done something about it right away. Now, here's an owner of a building that, number one, the building is managed through a management company. He has no clue what even businesses are there. I had to tell him what the businesses that are leasing out his owned building. But yet I was told we're going to have this big meeting with all the owners and we'll get all the concerns on the table. But as of today, I talked with this gentleman, who, by the way, is retired in Florida, and he said that he would take care of it. He said, and I will get back to you soon. So that's the source of my frustration. Nobody, one person that I know of, has ever sat down and asked the people who are being affected by this, what can we do to help you with this? One person. And I would venture a guess that probably, I know some people on the board that have gotten involved and have seen the situations, et cetera. But probably everyone else can only go by what I say, which obviously is mostly negative. But nobody else has to live this but my neighbors and I. Nobody else lives this. And believe me, feedback I've gotten from the board includes, well, if you live by Chicago Airport, well, I don't live by Chicago Airport. I live in the village of Shorewood. And if we're saying that we're doing our business based on how Chicago does their business, I don't have much hope for this village. That's not the way I would want anybody I was associated with doing their business. So the source of my frustrations are that months and months, and now 3 years go by, and nothing concrete but a shadow box fence that does nothing but keeps truck lights from flowing into my house is the only concrete thing that I've seen happen. That's my frustration.
Okay, Dave. Any comment?
Well, as you know, there have been some steps taken related to the business at 301 Earl. They basically are operating, or they're not allowed to operate the vehicle repair. The use that we've determined requires a permit, a special permit, and staff is working with the business owner to apply for the necessary permit that would come before you for a conditional use. Since we've had that communication with that property owner, I don't believe our police department has received any complaints regarding that property. There have been a few complaints related to 205 Earl. So those are relatively infrequent, and I can only think of 2 offhand. And that's something that we can certainly look into further. However, our police department has responded and identified no violation at the time, and sometimes the noise is no longer present. The other thing I can speak to, or I can't really speak to, is the issues related to a dumpster or a loading dock that doesn't meet code at 205 Earl. That's the first I've ever heard of those issues. Maybe those have been brought up before my time, but since I've been here, that's the first time I heard of that, and it's certainly something we can look at if there is an issue there.
Those two issues were on the litany list of code violations that were presented over a year ago.
Okay. So,
More than a year ago.
yeah, so my understanding was staff at that time tried to address those issues and did not have any issues that were outstanding in that regard. So I'm left to assume that they were explained, but we can confirm that.
Did you say that the shop was not in operation?
They are not allowed to repair vehicles at this time.
Well, who's stopping that? Because
We've
it
done,
goes on every single day.
right, we've done periodic checks, and we'll continue to do that. We are actively working with the business to comply with the necessary zoning.
So if the repair shop is not allowed to operate, that means that I should hear no impact, air impact, guns going off all day long.
If it's happening at that location, it's possible they're not complying, and we'd have to address that.
6 or 7 days a week.
So we'll continue to monitor that.
Yep, we need, well, we'll discuss this another time. Wish we had an answer for you, but right now, we don't. So are there any other citizens that wish to address the board tonight? If not, I'm going to move on to tonight's consent agenda, which consists of approval of the regular meeting minutes for May the 28th. Also approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of May the 28th. Number 3, approval of accounts payable in the amount of $285,883.50. Number 4, approval of a payment in the amount of $833,554.42 to PT Farrell Construction for the 2019 MFT street improvements. Number 5, approval of a payment in the amount of $25,988 to Core and Main for water meters. And finally, approval of a payment in the amount of $11,972 to Mitchell's Corporation for 2018 sanitary sewer cleaning and televising. That's basin number 3. I had one question just come up. This is RJN.
For the Michaels?
Yeah.
That is last year's televising work. Some of that work didn't get completed because of the winter, so there's some outstanding pieces, and there's one more final payment that'll come. So this was a previously approved contract from last year that through RJN.
Through RJN
Correct.
to Mitchell's?
Right, Michaels was the subcontractor for the televising and cleaning of the sanitary in that basin.
It's pronounced Michaels?
Yes, sir.
It's not spelled that way, but, Not even
didn't make
on
the
their
name up.
invoice, okay? So, but we're gonna cut a check directly to them, not through RJN.
RJN did the initial bidding, and the contractor is Michaels, so they are the ones that we contracted with the village-wise.
Okay.
To do that work.
All right. Are there any other questions on tonight's consent agenda?
Can we correct number 5? The final here is 998, not 988, unless I'm misreading. $25,998, and the agenda says $25,988.
Okay.
Sure, it's just a typo.
Okay, any other questions, any other comments? Would a trustee like any of the items removed for further review?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda
Second?
As amended?
as amended.
Okay. The second was
It's agreed still, as amended.
trustee DeBold. Diane, roll call, please.
Luciano,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Anderson.
Okay. Really been tied up lately, and I don't have a report. Are there any communications to the board, Diane?
No.
I have no proclamations. I do have a request for the administrator, the complete list of the cell phones for the village. Can I get that emailed to me, please?
So you want to know who has
Yes.
a village cell phone?
Right,
Thank you.
okay. Other than that, let's move on to tonight's order of business. Business item number 1, consideration for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services with Christopher Burke Engineering for the Black Road at the Shorewood Drive signalization. Something we've talked about. So, Mr. Welch.
Thank you. Last meeting, I presented the findings of a traffic warrant and capacity analysis for the Black Road at Shorewood Drive intersection. Basically what that showed was that a traffic signal is warranted at the intersection of Shorewood Drive and Black Road. And so what's before you today is a proposal to take that from where we are now, do the final engineering design, and get it out to bid so that we can have a contractor construct the project. So the scope of the project that we have prepared a proposal for is signalization, the installation of interconnect between River Road and Illinois 59, so all the signals will be in coordination. The construction of a southbound right turn lane on Shorewood Drive, as well as the kind of softening the hump of that north leg of that intersection that's there right now, and some ADA improvements to make the crossing across the bike path crossing across the north leg ADA compliant. We'll also be installing a new crosswalk across Shorewood Drive, or across Black Road. Since there is a signal now, it's safe to do so. So that would be the only crossing between Home Depot signal and River Road. We'll finally have another crossing there. So that's the other thing that we're going to do as well is that came up last time is we are going to obtain traffic projections for the year 2050 from CMAP so that we can do an analysis of the projected traffic and see if there are any improvements that we would need in 2050 that we can easily incorporate into this project now while we're already in there, as opposed to coming back in 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be, to do some of this. So nothing, we won't be blowing out the intersection or anything like that, but if there's some channelization or some extending some turn lanes, things like that that we can do easily, then we would do that as part of this project as well.
Take that hump out, does that mean you're gonna have to grade back to the north a little bit?
Correct.
And lower that, okay.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the engineering services with Christopher Burke in the Village of Shorewood not to exceed $49,924.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
DeBold,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 1 stands approved. Moving on to number 2, consideration for approval of an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for an indoor baseball training facility the variance wall signage, the variance for the required front yard setback, and final site plan for Rhino Baseball in the village of Shorewood. Will County, Illinois, 301 Gregory Court. This is up for a first read. Ms. Chrissy?
Thank you, Mayor. So as you mentioned, this is a request for conditional use to allow the construction and operation of an indoor baseball facility. There's also 2 variances being requested in a site plan review. As you can see from the slide, the property is located at the end of Gregory Court and consists of 2 currently vacant lots. The proposal is to construct an approximately 37,000 square foot building with a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 30 feet to 27 feet. And I'll get into that a little bit more as to why that's being requested. There's also 42 parking stalls that are being proposed, and then connections to existing sidewalks here that are shown in the purple. So it extends beyond their property to be able to provide those pedestrian connections around the entire cul-de-sac. The stormwater management has already been addressed with the subdivision, so that'll be confirmed with the final permitting. The proposed floor plan, the indoor training field will be the bulk of the facility with an area for the 60-yard dash. This 60-yard dash area does require a building depth of 210 feet. And so that's one of the reasons why there's a request to reduce the front yard setback to the 27 feet to ensure that the building can be the 210 feet deep. And then also there is, with the cul-de-sac bulb, it sort of dips in a little bit. And so it's only a small portion of the building that doesn't meet that 30-foot setback. There's also a weight room, there's classroom and offices. On the mezzanine, there are batting cages, and then the remainder is some storage space. Here's some images of the renderings of the building. The construction of the building is steel, using 3 different colors to visually break up the facade, with a canopy over the entrance. And then here is the front elevation, and really what we want to talk about here is that the sign variance is being requested to allow a 175 square foot sign, which is highlighted there in the blue, where a 60 square foot sign is allowed. And so what this would allow is 1 square foot of signage for every linear foot of building frontage. It is a large building, and so this would then sort of be proportional to the size of the building. Here you see the proposed landscape plan. It does meet the existing, or the code requirements for landscaping. And then one other item I wanted to point out, because this is adjacent to a residential subdivision, there is an existing privacy fence that provides the buffer that will remain, so no change will occur there. At the PZC, there was a recommendation of approval subject to the conditions as are noted here and are included in the proposed ordinance. And then we do have representatives from Rhino Baseball here in the event that there are any questions about the proposal.
Is this going to be a concrete tilt-up, or is it going to be a steel-clad building?
It's my understanding that it's actually a prefabricated metal building.
It'll be a steel structure all the way around.
Aren't all the other buildings in the cul-de-sac down there concrete, pre-stressed concrete?
No, actually, the FSA building, the addition to that, is a metal building as well. Yes.
All activities at the property that you're proposing are indoors. There's no activities outside.
We just ran through this just a little while ago, and I may not have had a problem with this earlier, but how can we guarantee it stays in that service? We can't. if the zoning of this is what class? What's the zoning class?
It's B3,
It's B3.
correct.
So a machine shop could move in there.
I don't believe that's an allowable use in a B3.
Okay, please
Please.
tell me that then.
Right, B3
need-
is a commercial zoning district, and so typically a manufacturing facility would not be permitted in the zoning district. But this conditional use, it does run with the land, not necessarily with Rhino Baseball. However, you know, the way that the building is being constructed, really there's no other use that really could utilize the facility if they were to decide that this doesn't work for them in terms of location. But my understanding is that they're looking for this to be their long-term home.
Yeah.
And
The
so-
zoning was the big thing for me.
Okay.
It's not gonna allow anything like what moved in behind Mr. Musson come in.
That's correct. It's got to be within whatever the allowable uses are for the B3 zoning district, which are commercial uses.
Okay. Okay. I'll remind everybody, this is up for a first read. If you want another bite at the apple here.
I believe the applicant is requesting a waiving of the second reading. They can speak to the timeliness of this perhaps better than staff.
Okay.
Sure. My name's Greg Blazing, president of Rhino Baseball. Appreciate you. Thank you for having us. So in terms of the timing, if you're familiar with indoor sports training, the main months are November, December, January, February, March. So I think the waiving of the second reading is to make sure that we can get up and running. We already have a number of clients that have signed letters of intent to rent out portions of the building as well as Rhino Baseball. So especially for indoor training with a travel company like we are, November 1 is the day that matters. So we just don't want to miss those kind of key training periods. So.
You're looking to be open by November 1st? Is that,
If construction went perfect, sure.
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, right. Our contractors think, November, December, somewhere in there, so.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the approval ordinance granting the conditional use permit for indoor baseball training facility and variance wall signage is required and the setback is on the final site plan and waive the second read.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Luciano?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
DeBold?
Yes.
Kirkland?
Yes.
Brockman?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2 stands approved. Okay, so welcome to Shorewood, guys.
Thank you.
We've, just real quickly, I want to thank everyone that's helped this project to this point, because, we haven't had a shovel in the ground yet, but I feel like we've been here for 30 years already. It's really felt like a home up to this point, so we couldn't be more excited to be here, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. And, from what I said in the past, I'm just concerned about falling into traps again. I definitely want to bring sports facilities to the village, as many as we can. We got space for them, and keeps the kids off the street, okay?
Well, if the village ever wants to build fields at some point, let us know.
Okay, we'll take you up on that, okay? All right, well, again, welcome aboard, okay? I hope you're a success. I hope you fill the building.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
All right. We waive the second read. Moving on to business item number 3, consideration for approval of an ordinance granting an amendment to the conditional use permit for the People's First Bank Center, PUD, at 1226 West Jefferson Street, in the village of Shorewood, Will County, Illinois. This is also up for a first read. Ms. Chrissy.
Thank you. So the request here is for a conditional amendment to the conditional use for the PUD to allow a monument sign that's up to 20 feet tall and includes an electronic message center. So the subject site is located on Jefferson Street, as you can see, just right down the street from Village Hall. The original approval included a 2-lot subdivision and the second building, which is, all right, Chris, there we go, which is to be located here in this sort of white area here, has not been yet constructed, but the monument sign was originally anticipated to account for multiple tenants, both within the building that exists currently and then the potential future building. So the location of the monument sign is not proposed to change as part of from the original approval, which you see on the screen now. The original approval, however, did only account for an approximately 15-foot tall monument sign. And as you see, the clock tower and the monument sign and even the building have some consistency in terms of architecture relative to that arched feature. And then here's a photograph of some of the existing improvements. So you see that in the design throughout the various elements of the site. And so what the applicant has proposed is to increase the height of the monument sign to the code allowance of 20 feet for a multi-tenant sign. And since they only have the one building now, they have 2 tenants in there, so it will be a multi-tenant sign. But they are planning to have the additional tenants. And as you'll see, there is an electronic message center included. And so the area that's blocked out here in blue then would be a modification for if at such time they have additional tenants, that they can just modify the sign that exists to be able to accommodate those additional tenants. The applicant and a representative from People First Bank is here in the event that there are questions. They have also requested a waiver of the second reading, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this request.
No, I think it's a good-looking sign.
Any questions from members of the board?
I'll just add that we did have a public hearing on this, and we had one resident speak. He was worried about how often that sign would change, and he said there's enough action there now that might cause them to have traffic problems through that area. So we assured him, I think it was going to be 10 seconds or something like that. So.
Right, I apologize. So on the screen is the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission that recommended approval with the conditions to have a minimum of 10-second intervals, which is relatively standard for all of the prior electronic message center signs that have been approved.
And then it dims down at night, and is what I read in there, so it's not going to be a distraction for brightness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make the motion of approval for an ordinance granting the amendment to the conditional use permit for People First Bank, PUD 1226 West Jefferson, Shore, Illinois, waive the second read.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brockman?
Yes.
Kirkland?
Yes.
DeBold?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
And Luciano?
Yes.
Okay. Agenda item number 3 stands approved. Moving on to number 4. Kathleen, I must say, I'm glad you didn't bring an award. That's clear. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, moving on, consideration for approval of 2019 road striping groove in pavement markings with modified urethane by Marking Specialist Corporation in the amount of $125,000. Mr. Drake.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our annual marking, road marking. We've got a lot of markings this year with the amount of striping we need on River Road from Home Court to Joliet. We also are planning to do some work on Black Road from Edgewater to Wildflower, and then through Callaway Drive, Conrad. And then there's another additional spot on School Road in front of the firehouse, number 1, that needs to be marked back out. A lot of concerns over there with the fire trucks and some of the maneuvering they do when they have Troy School coming in. Try to request proposals from as many contractors that are approved on the IDOT list for modified urethane application. The list is in my memo. I received one response that due to workload we weren't able to bid, and then received no other quotes except for Marking Specialties for $125,000. Glad to answer any questions. It was a request for proposals.
No, I could
And then we need to waive the bid, I'm sorry, thanks.
There was a little bit more than what we budgeted this year. We did move some money from project, was the Brookshore to Light project. and-
Shorewood will be one spot.
Or Shorewood, I meant, yeah.
We had a great price on the MFT program, allowing us to take Black Road all the way, or River Road from Black to Joliet, which is quite a good distance of this striping.
Yeah, and then there's more striping that we anticipated too. It just went bad. It's just worn off, I mean, over the last few years, so we just need to take care of it.
I'll make the motion for approval of 2019 road striping groove pavement markings with modified urethanes marking specialties for $125,000. Waive the formal bid process, please.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
DeBold,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4 stands approved. Moving on to number 5. Consideration for approval of Springbrook software update to cloud version. And a quote. Mr. Galata.
Thank you, Mayor. Springbrook is a very important program that we use every day for financial and other purposes for various departments in the village. It's currently residing on a physical server here that is it's at the end of its useful life. It's not going to be supported going forward. Staff has been working with Springbrook to propose a switch to a cloud-based version, which would we would not need to upgrade the server. And what this would do is allow us the adequate time to transition to that. It's not something that happens overnight. So staff is requesting your approval for this contract that would allow us to transition to the cloud-based version.
Yeah, I mean, everything's moving to the cloud. I got my stuff at work on the cloud. I can't believe it. And when the internet goes down, it's useless, but you gotta have it.
Make the motion for approval of the Springbrook software update to cloud version.
Second.
Luciano,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Anderson.
Yes.
Agenda item number 5 stands approved. Moving on to our final business item. Consideration for approval of a payment in the amount of $200 to I-55 Auto Salvage for windshield glass and installation.
Move
Make
to
a motion to
approve.
pay the bill. $200 I-55.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Luciano,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Anderson.
Yes.
Move and pay the bill. Here, move on to reports. Trustee Anderson, Public Works.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The bridge staining on the bridge at 52 and River, that's gonna be getting done here in the next couple of weeks. And then I gotta say, Chris and Jim, we've talked, that intersection is really looking good. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. So it's coming along, it'll be about done. The stump grinding is continuing with the tree removal. That's coming to an end shortly. Hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have that all wrapped up. and then restoration work, and then MFT is finished up, except for some of the restoration work. And then other than, you know, mowing grass and taking care of the roads, that's about all we got going. A lot of that work right now, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions for trustee Anderson? If not, we'll move on to trustee Brockman, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next meeting will be July 3rd, and we are actively seeking to whether we have a quorum or not that night. So as of right now, that's what it's set for, and we have one agenda item. Will be the Caldwell Banker sign, is that right, Kelly? That's correct. Okay, thank you. So that's the only agenda item we have as of right now, so July 3rd, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kirkland, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Summer registration is still ongoing. Be sure and check the program deadlines for registration. Summer camp registration is also ongoing. Check the village website for registration sheet or stop by Suite 102 here in the Village Hall. And again, be sure to look at the deadlines for signing up each week. Our Party in the Park has started. Last week was our first week. We had a great turnout. This week we have a band this week. It's Recycle the Day. They play hits from all eras. The band starts at 6:30. Also, we'll have the bounce house and other fun activities. That's this week. Next week is a movie again, so Thursday, June 20th, we'll be showing Mary Poppins Returns. That activity starts at 6:30, but of course the movie doesn't start until dusk when it's darker. So, but we'll have a DJ and bounce house starting at 6:30. Sunday, June 23rd, will be our fishing derby. That's from 8 to 10 a.m. here at Town Center Park. Prizes will be awarded to the most fish in each age category, as well as longest fish caught and smallest fish caught of the day. And also on June 23rd is our Kite Fest out at Seeney's Park. That's from 11 to 3. Come out and see professional kite flyers and fly kites in the park. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Luciano, Citizens Advisory Committee.
Citizens Advisory Committee is on break for the summer. We will resume our meeting in September. As always, we are looking for members. If anyone out there is interested in becoming part of the committee, if they please contact me through the information on the village website. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion to move into executive session for the
So Make that-
Oh, was it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the purchase and sale of land.
Sorry. I
So
apologize.
move second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
DeBold.
Yes.
Brockman. Anderson.
Yes.
And Kirkland.
Yes.
There will be, should have mentioned it, the gavel. There will be no business accomplished after the executive session, so we will adjourn from the executive session.